Okay, Assalamualaikum. Selamat pagi semua. Okay, for today's recording, okay, I would like to continue from where I stopped or left from the previous video recording, which is okay, I've showed you how to construct your hypothesis, your research questions, okay, adding new items or issues for you to investigate in your research questions and also your research objectives, as well as how you should construct your hypothesis. Okay, at the end of chapter 2. Okay, so please refer to that earlier video, okay, to get a better understanding, because in today's video, it's basically showing you how to perform the t-test, ANOVA, and also Pearson correlation, and also not to forget objective number 1, which is to do okay, your research question number 1, which is the demographic characteristic. So I will just go through that quickly. Okay, so what I have here with me right now is the data from last semester's project. Okay, so the title of this project is on, okay, is looking at the niat menjadi usahawan or entrepreneurial intention. Okay, so you can look at the questions. Okay, I think one or two groups doing similar tajuk or topic as well. And okay, basically the questions are pretty much similar to the one that you can find in the Google Drive, okay, from one or two of the master's thesis. Okay, so thesis that relate to topic on intention, okay, niat, okay, intention to do business or entrepreneur intention to purchase halal products and so forth. So usually the theory is similar, which is on the behavior theory. Okay, so today, so the first objective of the study or your research questions, which is to look at the is to look at the demographic characteristics. Okay, so before that, okay, if you recall, for those who came to our face-to-face lecture a couple of weeks ago, okay, when I showed you, I think I showed a quick uh, tutorial how to construct or how to calculate the mean, okay, purata from your Likert skill section. So I think from the previous semester also I've recorded, okay, I put up the video in YouTube, but I will just show you again quickly. So if you look at this data, okay, you can, at the end of the item, you can see here, okay, the student have converted, okay, section B, C, D, and E, meaning there are 4 Likert scale sections, okay, and they calculate the mean, okay, purata for all the scores, meaning B1 to B3, C1 to C5, D1 to D4, and then E1 to E5. So this is what we want to do, okay, for the ANOVA and also t-test, okay, and also the Pearson correlation. Okay, but before that, okay, for research question number 1 is basically to look at the demographic characteristics, so which is gender, race, current semester. I mean, depending on your topic, whether you are looking at students or the citizen or penduduk Kedah, Penang, whatsoever. So usually the first section covers the demographic characteristics. Okay, so we want to know about the background of our respondents. So usually what you do is you can choose, you can go to analyze, okay, and choose either frequency, descriptive, or cross-tabulation. If you choose descriptive, I think you can find in the options, okay, the mean, maximum, okay, so but this has nothing to do with the pie chart, okay, histogram or whatsoever, okay, and also the other one, you can also choose the analyze, and then descriptive, you can choose also frequencies. Okay, so in the chart format, you can choose, but again, okay, do not use the chart produced directly from SPSS, okay, because it doesn't look that nice, okay, but you can extract the information and put in the Microsoft Excel. Okay, so for example, if you want to calculate, for example, the mean, okay, the means and the deviation. So you can go through some of the thesis online, okay, or any journal papers that you have referred to. Okay, for example, for this particular group, okay, from last semester. Okay, they just produce a simple table like this. Okay, how many male, females, okay, according to race, age, okay, the background of the respondent in terms of from the total of 300 something respondent, okay, how many male and females, and also based on the age group, okay, and based on semesters, course. So this can be done as well. Okay, so no need to resort or to use, Raja like pie chart, histogram. I mean, you can use them, but this would be sufficient already. Okay, using a simple table like this, so you can use the option here. Okay, descriptive, or you can just, as I mentioned just now, you can use analyze, descriptive. Yeah, this one lah. Okay, for example, you can choose gender, race, current semester, whatsoever. So basically, we are producing something similar to what the student did lah. Okay, and just let's say click OK. Okay, so this is what you, okay, so this is the mean, maximum, standard deviation. But you can see here is just the student just use the number of students, and also, for example, gender, race. Okay, and you can do also from here. Okay, analyze, descriptive. Okay, options. You can also use. Okay, apa lagi? Style. Okay, I think this is just try and error lah. Okay, saya pun tak ingat lah semua options. Okay, because I don't use SPSS on for my work. Okay, it's just for teaching purpose only. Okay, so my knowledge may not be as apa tu banyak lah. Okay, you can see here also you can use mean, sum, okay, and also minimum, maximum. Okay, the same thing here. Okay, tengoklah apa yang you all dapat lah. Okay, and then click OK. Okay, so this is something. So I think this is ni lebih semester, for example, according to race, okay, according to gender. Okay, so something like this. Okay, so you can play around. Okay, usually it's just between frequencies and descriptive. Okay, and also not to forget cross-tabulation. Okay, cross-tabulation is very interesting option that you can use. Is basically you can cross between two variables. For example, you can look at gender, and you can cross with age, for example. Okay, and you can see, okay, just under this simple diagram, okay, this simple table, you can see the tabulation, the cross tabulation between gender and age. So you can see how many male are, age between 20, 21 and whatnot. So depending on I mean, you can do cross tabulation for maybe one or two tables, depending on what information that you think is interesting. Okay, maknanya it's a combination of table like this, okay, or you can use one or two pie chart or histograms, and also maybe one or two cross tabulation. Okay, because okay, when it comes to analysis, okay, variety kepelbagaian dalam mempersembahkan your data lah, okay, in presenting your data will also contribute to your ni lah, to the apa tu quality, okay, and the presentation, and also at the end of the day marks lah, okay, markah yang that I can award you for your work. Okay, so you can do also cross tabulation. So again, this can be a try and error option. Okay, you can cross tab between one or two, I mean different combination lah. Usually you want to cross tab section A saja, for example your income versus umur, for example, or district or cost. For example, you can cross tab between apa tu schools, bidang-bidang in which program under, okay, how many students male and female belong to which school. I mean, as long as, but don't provide too many cross tabulations lah. Okay, it's just to get some extra information, okay, more meaningful information than just the simple frequency and percentage table. Okay, so that is the objective of the research question number 1. Okay, to obtain or to do to understand or to determine the characteristics of your respondents. Okay, so that will be number 1. So if you recall from my previous video, the recorded video, Okay, for the research question number 2, okay, to determine the whether gender differences, okay, affect okay, all of the variables under your Likert scale sections. Okay, originally kita hanya akan tengok whether gender affect, let's say, one variable. Let's say here household spending. Okay, but from my previous video, okay, what I told everyone, okay, kita akan tambah lah, maknanya because if you only look at one factor, meaning you are only having one t-test, okay, whereby I think that's a bit terlampau simple lah, because you got, let's say, in this particular thesis, okay, this particular project, I think similar to yours, okay, ada 4 Likert skill: personal traits, personal attitude, okay, and then entrepreneurial knowledge, and also, so I think the first 3 are the independence variable lah, if you want to categorize that way, and the dependent variable, which is the entrepreneurial intention, okay. So the niat to become usahawan, okay, can be influenced by the previous 3 factors lah: knowledge, traits, okay, personal traits, and also personal attitude. So these 3 factors, okay, will have influence on the intention to become entrepreneur, which is section number E. Okay, so basically, from the previous recorded video, okay, I asked everyone, okay, to add the variables or the items in your Likert scale lah. So for example, in this particular project, let's say it's on household expenditure, okay, during COVID. So maybe not government policy lah. Okay, government policy maybe tak berapa appropriate, because that is slightly different, because it's not like dependent and independent variables. Okay, but household spending, household income, I think you can use this lah. Okay. The same thing with the ANOVA. Okay, so let's start with the t-test first, whereby we agree, okay, to look at gender, the impact of gender on the Likert scale components in your questionnaire. Okay, so how do you approach this? Okay, again, okay, so you go to analyze, you go to compare means, choose independent sample t-test. Okay, and then in this option, okay, so you can see that, okay, let me clear this part first. Okay, so first, have a look at the original data. So this is the original data, the variable view. Okay, and then, okay, before I forget, okay, I mentioned earlier that this group have already converted, okay, or calculated the 4 Likert scale into its mean value. Okay, for example here, okay, entrepreneur intention. So if you look at the data view, towards the end here, you can see that this is basically the mean markah purata for all the entrepreneur intention section, personal attitude, traits, and knowledge. So for example, how do you calculate entrepreneur intention mean score value? Okay, I think I've shown before during our face-to-face lecture. Okay, what you do is you go to transform, compute variable, okay, and then the target variable this is basically nama lah, okay, any name. Okay, you cannot have space. Let's say mean underscore entrepreneur underscore intention, INT lah. Okay, so kita nak tengok sama tak markah tadi tu. Okay, and we want to take the mean purata. Okay, so what you can do is you can go and find mean dekat mana, arithmetic, I think. Oh no, sorry. Okay, you can find I think mean lah, MEAN, kalau ada lah, sepertinya ada sini. Okay, mean. Okay, so mean, you can see the once you double click on the mean, okay, it will pop up this thing. So just select the variable. So just now we want to calculate the mean for the entrepreneur intention. I believe it is section E. So E, okay, E1 and then comma. Okay, make sure you put the comma there. E2 comma, and then E3 comma, E4 comma. Just double click on the variable E5. Okay, so even if you do not want to double click here, you can just type mean, MEAN bracket, and the list of the variables under that particular section. Okay, and then just click OK. Okay, So if you look at your data view again, okay, just to confirm, okay, I calculate the mean of entrepreneur intention. So we should get something similar to this column. Okay, you can see here, this column and also this column is the same lah. Okay, because I just calculate it again. Okay, so you can repeat the process for the other three variables. Okay, go to transform, compute variable, put the new variable name, and put mean, MEAN, bracket, the items. For example, section B, there are only three items, B1, B2, B3. So it will be mean, comma, B1, comma, B2, comma, B3, comma, and then close bracket, and then just click OK. Okay, so this is what the previous semester student did, okay, for this particular data set. Okay, so we are going to ignore this one. Okay, let's say I just just ignore this one. So we are just going to use this original 4. Okay, so again, go to analyze, compare means, independent sample t-test. Okay, so remember, this is for research question number 2. Okay, RQ number 2, which is we want to look at whether gender can affect the variables that you want to analyze, okay, especially the Likert scale sections. So, so go to this one again, analyze, compare means, independent sample t-test. Okay, so why we have value here? Because I already did some exercise before recording this video. Okay, so the test variable, okay, so this is where I said you can have more than one test variable. So for example, okay, you can have entrepreneur intention, okay, or and then you can have the personal attitude, personality trait, and also finally entrepreneurial knowledge. So you can have 4 different tests or 4 different t-tests for each of the Likert scale section in your questionnaire. So that's why I say it's basically very simple to do. Okay, rather than having one t-test, you can have 4 different t-tests, okay, to answer your research question number 2. So the grouping variable, we agree that we want to look at the impact of gender. Okay, so we put gender here. Once you click gender, this item will be. So you need to fill up what is the group. Okay, so this one you must go back to your questionnaire. Okay, based on the student data, okay, gender is defined as, okay, you can look here how you define. Some students put 1, 0, male 1, female 0, or male 0, female 1, whichever definition that you use lah. But for this particular group, they define male as 1, female as number 2. So 1 and 2. So 1 refers to female, male, 2 refers to female. So this is how you are going to define. Define group means you are going to put, okay, originally it will be empty like this. So just group 1, which is male, number 2, which is female. Okay, so only put the value that you already defined. If you use 1 and 0, then put 1 and 0 lah. Okay, then click continue and then just click OK. Okay, so this is what we want lah. So the first output that you will get as a standard output, the mean, standard deviation, and the standard error for all of the items lah between male and female, which is what we do not really want to focus on this. But what we want is this result here. Okay. Okay, so we want to extract information from this table. Okay, if you look at this particular thesis here, okay, let me go through the output section, okay, for the t-test. Okay, of course, you can refer to the master's thesis, okay, for example. So, okay, remember, okay, for each of the t-tests that you do, okay, in this particular case, we have 4 t-tests lah because we have 4 variables. So remember from my previous recorded video, okay, you need to state, okay, kena tulis what is the HO, what is the H1. Okay, not like this, okay, because this is only one. I do not want this style lah, okay, rujuk balik pada saya punya video, okay, from this one lah, meaning that when you write down your hypothesis, it must be in the form of HO and H1. Okay, there, for example, if you're looking at gender, okay, HO will be there is no significant difference of financial risk among genders. Okay, so for this particular hypothesis, let's say we are looking at, okay, so here we have entrepreneur intention. So the first hypothesis test will be HO. Okay, there is no significant difference of entrepreneur intention among gender lah. And the H1, there is significant difference. So which output that we are interested that you need to extract? Okay, usually we are only interested at the this part here lah. Okay, the p value here 0.524. Okay, if you look at this thesis here, okay, so what did the student extract? Okay, the male and female, the sample size, the mean sigma, the t test value, and finally the p value. Okay, you can also whether you want to put significant or just put the word p value, it's also the same. So basically this is the part lah. You can see that okay, if I minimize the screen, okay, and then you can look at this table here. Okay, so apa dia 0.524. Okay, this one 0.524. Okay, and then apa tu actually this part pun tak perlu, yang penting sekali actually is the p value. Okay, the p value, and then which is the same here lah. Okay, and then the t test negative 0.638, which is this one. Okay, apa tu? Kejapnya. Okay. So this is what we want lah, okay, the p value. Okay, 0.524, which is not significant lah because it is more than 5%. Okay, so when you go through the penerangan here, the result show there is no significant difference. P value is 0.524, which is more than 5%. Okay, so this is the part that I said do not write this way. H1 is rejected. Okay, because the student write the hypothesis based on H1, which is not what you learn in your pengantar stat basic statistics. You should write your hypothesis based on HO and also H1, and your decision must be based on HO, whether you reject HO or you do not reject HO. In this case, because the p value is bigger than 5%, 0.524, okay, but meaning that we cannot reject HO. So for example here, okay, we cannot reject HO means there is no significant difference lah. Okay, so your decision must always be based on the null hypothesis, which is what I mentioned in the previous video. So if you write like this, okay, it's very confusing. Okay, I know maybe some thesis from other schools, other programs, they write this way, but cara yang paling tepat, okay, is your decision whether you want to reject or not to reject is based on the null hypothesis. So for example in this part here, okay, you should write HO apa dia, H1 apa dia. So when you say that the p value is more than 5%, so we can conclude that HO is not rejected. Okay, do not reject the null hypothesis. Bila kamu tak reject the null hypothesis, means tak ada beza lah. There is no significant difference, okay, of entrepreneur intention between or among genders. Okay, so that is how you should write. Okay, so this part is correct. Okay, there is no significant difference, but you cannot say H1 is rejected. Dia terbalik lah. When you say tak ada difference, means H0 is not rejected. Okay, so this statement is based on the alternate hypothesis. Okay, so then you repeat the process 4 kali lah or 3 kali depending on how many Likert scale sections you have. Okay, so for example here we have 4 Likert scale sections. So you can extract the output of the t-test, okay, 4 times lah, and then for each of the tests make sure kamu akan tulis, okay, you need to write down what is the HO, what is the H1. HO untuk personal attitude, H1 untuk personal attitude, and also the other two lah. Okay, so that is for research question number 2, looking at gender. Okay, and number 3 is looking at, using ANOVA or F-test. So basically the process is pretty much the same. Kita akan ulang balik ke empat faktor ni, but rather than looking at gender, so let's say for this particular thesis, okay, so what they did for the ANOVA, diorang tengok kepada courses, okay, kursus-kursus dalam SAFB, okay. So there is whether there is significant difference or not of the, so for this particular project, they only look at one factor. Okay, but for your project, okay, I need you to do this ANOVA 3 to 4 times lah, depending on how many Likert skill section you have, similar to what you did in the t-test. So the way to do it, sama saja, go to compare means, but now you choose one way ANOVA. Okay, so you can see that this factor is, okay, this part is what I did earlier. Okay, so basically what you do is, you go to the mean yang kamu dah create tadi tu, okay, asalnya macam ni lah, okay, asalnya kosong semua ni, tak ada apa value, okay, it's supposed to be empty like this. Okay, so the dependent variable are all the Likert skill section that you already calculated the mean. Tadi saya tunjuk tadi, okay, go to transform, calculate the mean. So akan ada 4 Likert skill section yang you all dah convert from the raw data to the mean value. And then factor, now we are going to use courses, okay, cost. This will be the factor. Okay, and then just click OK. So simple as that. Kita ada 4 ANOVA. Yang ni untuk intention, entrepreneur intention, and these are for the other 3. So if you look at this thesis, they only extract one output lah, because during last semester I only wanted them to have only one ANOVA. So you can see here the p value 0.363, which is this one lah. Okay, 0.363. Okay, so basically the output that they put in the thesis is only for this factor. Okay, but the other 3 wasn't analyzed lah. But tak apalah, because that what I instructed them to do. But I think because benda tu simple saja, tak ada banyak masalah. Okay, so you can just extract the other 3 output. Okay, kalau kamu ada 4 Likert skill. So if you look at here, okay, keempat-empat faktor ni memang tak ada, there is no significant difference because the p value are all above 5%. Okay, so how do you know? Okay lah, 0.363 means 36%. Ini 59%, ini 83%, ini 25%. Okay, so tak apalah, signifikan tak signifikan tu, ini bukan data yang sebenar-benarnya, ini data kelentong saja. So I think similar to your project as well. But the intention is not, is to train you all macam mana nak extract output ANOVA and how to interpret them correctly. Itu yang penting. Whether it's significant or not, that is beside the point lah, because your data is not actually the actual data based on proper survey technique. Okay, so basically this is what you need to do. Okay, ulang ANOVA tu 4 kali, and as usual, for each of the ANOVA punya output, you must state what is the HO, what is the H1. Not like this. Ini hanya menulis H1 saja. So I want you to write something like this. Okay. Kalau macam dalam case tadi tu, okay, there is no significant difference of product risk for different school. Kalau alternate H1, ada difference lah. So this one can be product risk. For example, if you're looking at this output, okay, satu entrepreneur intention, the other one personal attitude. So here, satu entrepreneur intention, and then here personal attitude. So you repeat the hypothesis punya statement tu for each of the test, similar to what you did for the t-test. Yang bezanya cuma dekat belakang ni saja. Okay, yang ni untuk schools, yang ni pula untuk gender. So I think semua orang patut faham lah, tak ada masalah apa kat sini. Okay, so that is for ANOVA. And lastly, untuk Pearson correlation. Okay, so this student also did Pearson correlation. Okay, also did Pearson correlation. So you can see that, okay, this is the preferred method, meaning you combine all of the variables under one table. So how do you extract this? How do you create how do you get this output in the first place? So it's very simple. Go to analyze, go to correlate, okay, and then choose bivariate. Okay, so initially ini semua kosong lah, tak ada apa benda kat sini. Okay, so just again, when you look at your component here, ambil bahagian yang kamu dah tukar kepada min tadi tu, semua lah. Okay, this one. Memang ini saya tak pakai sebab ini tadi saya buat demo sajalah, ulang balik benda yang sama. So there are 4 Likert scale components converted into min, and what we want is just this one, the Pearson. Okay, and then the rest is just leave it as it is. Click OK. Okay, so this is what you get. Okay, for example, ini entrepreneur intention dengan personal attitude, personal trait, okay, entrepreneur knowledge. You can see it's similar to this one. Okay, 0.217, 0.411 and 0.228. So sama saja. Kalau signifikan, letaklah asterisk lah, bintang lah. Okay, as what you see in this output also. Dia pun ada 2 bintang ke 1 bintang ke. Dia tulis ni significant at 1% level. Okay, detail. So you extract the output similar to what you see here. Okay, dalam mana-mana thesis lain. Saya pun tak pernah ajar pelajar-pelajar ni how to extract the output. Okay, they refer to the journal or thesis. Okay, and then you interpret lah. Okay, sama juga untuk Pearson pun saya minta you all buat hypothesis dia. Okay, so this is the last one here is the hypothesis untuk Pearson. Okay, there is no significant relationship, and H1 there is significant relationship between all of the factors. Okay, so ini yang you all akan buat lah, and then you all interpret output dia, apa yang signifikan, apa yang tak signifikan lah, based on the, for example, antara intention entrepreneur dan juga personal attitude ada signifikan. In fact, ketiga-tiga signifikan between entrepreneur dan juga dia ada 3 factors. Okay, ini actually yang kita nak lah, yang lain-lain ni sekarang tambahan sajalah. Okay, so you can look at thesis, journals, how they interpret, so you should follow the same way. Okay, and of course, untuk bahagian chapter 4, okay, if you look at this particular part here, this result is also supported by, okay, this other thesis or project, okay, or journal, okay, because in writing up your chapter 4, okay, bukanlah semata-mata tulis signifikan ataupun tak signifikan sahaja. Okay, when you interpret, as much as possible, try to justify, okay, support your findings based on past study, kajian-kajian yang lepas. Okay, especially bahagian yang melibatkan hypothesis testing lah, t-test, ANOVA, and also Pearson. Okay, I mean, yang first, of course, kena interpret lah signifikan ataupun tidak, whether you reject ataupun tak reject the null hypothesis. Okay, and then kalau mana-mana kajian yang lepas yang dapatan dia sama ataupun tidak sama dengan you all, let's say lah you all dapat tak signifikan, tapi yang lepas signifikan. So just tulis je lah. Okay, our result is not supported lah. Kalau kata support, maknanya sama saja result dia. Okay, tapi kalau tak signifikan, just mention our result is not similar or is not supported by, okay, one reason sebab data you all lah. Mungkin data you all pun bukan data yang betul, tapi saya nak tengok macam mana you all kaitkan dapatan kajian you all, okay, your findings with the literature review. Bahagian chapter 2 tu, bila you all letak artikel-artikel yang relevan tu, so this is where you want to actually use again the articles that you cited in chapter number 2. Mana-mana yang relevan, yang boleh menyokong kajian atau sama ada sama ataupun tidak sama dapatan kajian tu, barulah ada makna. Okay, makna dari segi apa tu your findings. Kalau tidak, it's just basically interpret saja. Okay, so the write up become very dry. Okay, dia tak ada meaning lah, sebab you all dalam academic writing, we want to compare our findings with the past study, kajian-kajian yang lepas, whether sama, tak sama. Okay, itu yang kita nak tengok. Okay, so at least at your level, kenalah ada sedikit ni lah, sokongan macam ni lah, supported by Kara Bulut 2016, Palan 2013. Okay, so maybe some of the findings, some of the justification, you can refer to the thesis yang you all refer tu, thesis master ataupun PhD, ataupun mana-mana journal lah, which usually kamu dah letak dalam chapter 2 tu, dalam your literature review. Okay, so when you interpret, okay, except for RQ1 tu cuma demographic characteristics, dia tak adalah nak supported by ke apa ke, because itu sekadar beritahu berapa min, berapa bilangan lelaki perempuan dan sebagainya. Tapi once you start doing the t-test, the ANOVA and also the Pearson correlation, okay, whenever you have hypothesis testing, okay, selepas kamu interpret significant ataupun tidak, reject ataupun tidak reject the null hypothesis, okay, sebaik-baik mungkin support lah, okay, tulis satu atau dua ayat similar to what you find in this thesis or other journals or other thesis. Barulah ada orang kata meaning lah, okay, ada nilai your interpretation, okay, and then finally you conclude your findings, and beside giving a brief summary of the main findings, saya nak you all mention lah policy implication tu. Okay, for example, kalau dalam case for UUM sebagai respondent, okay, you all mungkin just tulis sajalah apa yang you all rasa relevant, okay, finding tersebut boleh ada kaitan ke, tak ada kaitan ke, untuk pihak pengurusan ke, ataupun whatever lah, okay, try to get the information, the input from thesis, journal, how they write the policy implication. Usually this part is the last part of the journal writing or the thesis. Okay, just a short one or two paragraph, I mean, should be fine lah. Okay, barulah ada meaning juga, okay, dalam bentuk kajian. Okay, when you write the conclusion, we want to explain how our study can be berguna, can be beneficial to other people, whether the government, the management, okay, dan sebagainya lah. Okay, so that is what we call as policy implication. Okay, walaupun mungkin kerajaan tak pakai pun kita punya kajian ni, tetapi that is a standard punya prosedur lah. Okay, benda yang biasa orang akan tulis dalam mana-mana thesis ataupun journal lah. Okay, policy implication. Yang lain semua tak perlulah. Sebab yang ni diorang just ambil daripada kajian-kajian yang lepas. But for your own personal submission, okay, when you write your chapter 4 and also chapter 5, chapter 5, what I want is the brief summary of the findings and also a short policy implication. Okay. Lepas tu, and of course lah, chapter number 4 tu, present your output sekemas yang mungkin, okay. Use the proper table, okay, use the proper English language. Tengok kajian-kajian yang lepas, thesis masters, journal-journal punya papers yang you all boleh baca. Tengok macam mana orang menulis bahagian chapter 4 ataupun bahagian output, okay, how they write the interpretation. Okay, when you read them, then you get some idea lah, okay, how to write your own chapter 4, okay, nicely. Okay, because the evaluation for your personal assignment is based mainly on your how you present the output, how you write your H1, HO, how you conclude your findings, whether you reject or do not reject, how you read the p-value correctly. Benda tu semua akan main peranan lah. Okay, jangan simply tulis reject, patutnya sebenarnya tak reject pun. Okay, so when you wrongly conclude keputusan daripada SPSS tu, okay, the p-value let's say is more than 5%, tapi you end up say reject H0. So tak betul lah. Okay, benda tu akan menyumbang kepada orang kata salah dalam bentuk the interpretation lah, okay, and akan menjejaskan at the end of the day markah yang you akan dapat lah untuk your assignment. Okay, so I think that's it for our sharing session for chapter 4 and 5. Okay, so I think dari segi the context of your inilah untuk semester ni, okay, next Sunday memang dah kebetulan pun cuti. Okay, sebab saya pula terlibat dengan seliaan praktikum secara online. Ada 15 student yang saya kena buat Webex bersama majikan, okay, 15 jam kalau nak ikutkan, and must be completed within 2 weeks. So agak tight lah saya punya jadual pada minggu depan dan juga minggu lagi satu sebelum habis semester at the end of July, at the end of June. So kalau ada apa-apa, okay, before that, okay, I need everyone to submit your again your revised research question and also your hypothesis yang you all akan tulis dalam chapter 2 tu. Basically this one lah. Okay, hantar balik dekat, bukan hantar the whole chapter, just maybe 1 or 2 pages. What is your revised research question yang selepas ditambah-tambah dekat sini, your revised objective, and also your research hypothesis, okay, yang kamu akan tulis di bahagian penghujung bab yang kedua. Okay, so saya nak tengok yang itulah. Okay, sebab yang bahagian lain tu chapter 4 tu sebab mungkin you all tak buat lagi data collection ataupun dah mula sedang membuat analisis. So at least I want to see whether you get what I was trying to inilah yang saya sampaikan dalam video yang sebelum ini. Okay, kejap saya pun lupa nak record video. Nak record apa? This one, okay. So I want the research questions, the research objective, and also the hypothesis component dalam you all punya apa? Nanti saya akan bagilah link dalam OL tu, okay. Okay, link dalam you all punya OL, okay. Hantar balik simple lah your RO, RQ, and also apa tu ni lah you all punya hypothesis, okay, di bahagian penghujung bab yang kedua. Mana saya punya bahagian tadi? Hypothesis tadi. Inilah. Okay, all the hypothesis ni yang saya dah tulis di, yang saya dah explain pada video yang pertama. So, resubmit your hypothesis and also your RO and RQ. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera.